This morning, you most likely already ate something with pesticides. Strawberries, spinach, grapes, an apple, maybe a glass of orange juice, and you wash them underwater because that is what you are supposed to do. You thought you had protected yourself. But here is what you need to know. A study published in the journal Nature Health on April the 27th, 2026, just a few days ago, revealed something that changes everything we thought we knew about pesticide safety. 31 pesticides, not one of them classified by the WHO as a carcinogen. Every single one considered safe by international standards, but when scientists studied them under real-world conditions, the way people actually encounter them in life, simultaneously in mixtures, the risk of developing cancer increased by 150% from substances that are individually considered safe. Stay with me, because I am about to tell you something about strawberries, spinach, and green beans that will make you look at your plate differently. And I will give you a concrete list of what to change right now. Before we get to the data, it is important to understand why this study is fundamentally different from everything that came before. For decades, pesticide safety has been evaluated according to the same principle. Take one chemical substance, test it in controlled conditions, and establish a safe dose. If a substance doesn't cause cancer on its own, it is considered safe, full stop. But here's the problem that scientists call the reductionist fallacy. In real life, no one encounters a single pesticide. Never. You breathe air that carries several different chemicals simultaneously. You drink water containing residues from different compounds. You eat food treated with multiple substances throughout a single growing season. This is called the cocktail effect, and it is precisely what science has been ignoring until recently. The new study did for the first time what previously seemed impossible. It modeled the real-world exposure to a mixture of 31 pesticides at a national scale in Peru over 6 years, and cross-referenced this against cancer records from more than 150,000 patients. And here is what they found. And this is not just about Peru. The study's authors explicitly state that their findings have global implications, including countries with advanced agriculture, including Europe, including you. Here is the specific data from the Nature Health study, April 2026. Scientists from the Institut Pasteur, the French National Research Institute for Sustainable Development, the University of Toulouse, and the National Institute of Neoplastic Diseases in Peru combined 3 types of data: environmental monitoring, a national cancer patient registry, and biological research. They analyzed 31 widely used pesticides and modeled their spread through the environment over 6 years. They then cross-referenced this with medical records from more than 150,000 cancer patients. The result: in areas with high pesticide concentrations, the risk of developing cancer was on average 150% higher. And this is the most important part: not one of the 31 pesticides studied is classified as a carcinogen. By international standards, each one individually is safe. Together, a deadly combination. The scientists wrote in their conclusions directly. Collectively, these findings strongly support a mechanistic link between pesticide exposure and cancer, challenging assumptions of human non-carcinogenicity derived from reductionist experimental models. But here is what makes this study particularly alarming for you personally. You don't need to live next to Peruvian fields. Pesticides are already on your plate. And here was the specific data. One mechanism is especially concerning. Scientists found that pesticides damage cells quietly and invisibly, accumulating over years, making tissues more susceptible to inflammation, infection, and other risk factors long before any symptoms appear. The liver, as the primary detoxification organ, comes under attack first. And now, specifically about the food you are most likely eating right now. The Environmental Working Group publishes an annual list called The Dirty Dozen, 12 products with the highest pesticide content, according to U.S. government testing. In 2026, this data is particularly alarming. Here is the Dirty Dozen 2026. Number 1, spinach. It carries more pesticide residue by weight than any other type of produce. The average sample contains 4 or more different pesticides simultaneously. Number 2, green beans. Number 3, bell and hot peppers. Then strawberries, grapes, nectarines, peaches, cherries, apples, blueberries, pears, and potatoes. Listen carefully to the next number. According to EWG, 96% of samples from the Dirty Dozen contain pesticide residues. 96% after washing. And on Dirty Dozen samples in 2026, 203 different pesticides were detected. And here is a new alarming fact. In 2026, for the first time, the report includes PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals. They were detected on 63% of Dirty Dozen samples. PFAS are compounds that do not break down in the environment and accumulate in the body. They have already been linked to cancer, hormonal disruption, and immune dysfunction. But wait, I haven't told you the most important thing about washing yet. What you do every single day may be far less effective than you think. And there is one simple method that actually works. Here is a fact that will surprise you. Washing under running water. That is good, but for many products on the Dirty Dozen, it is simply not enough. Here is why. Many modern pesticides are what scientists call systemic. This means they are not absorbed by the surface of the plant, but by the entire organism, roots, stems, leaves. They are literally inside the tissue. Washing them away with water is physically impossible. They are not on the surface. This is precisely why strawberries rank so highly on the Dirty Dozen year after year. They have no protective skin, and systemic pesticides are right inside the flesh. What actually works? Research from the University of Massachusetts found that soaking produce in a baking soda solution, 1 teaspoon per 2 cups of water for 12 to 15 minutes, is significantly more effective at removing surface pesticides than plain water. The FDA and USDA confirm washing with soap, bleach, or commercial produce washes is ineffective and potentially harmful. Produce is porous and absorbs these substances, but, and this is honest, no washing will remove systemic pesticides that are inside the tissue. For those, the only solution is choosing organic produce or items from the Clean 15. And now, the Clean 15. Because none of this means you should stop eating vegetables and fruit. Quite the opposite. And here is exactly where you can save money without compromising your health. Clean 15. These are 15 products with the lowest pesticide content, according to the same government testing. These are the ones you can buy conventional, without significant risk. The Clean 15 2026 includes avocados, sweet corn, pineapple, onions, papaya, asparagus, frozen peas, honeydew melon, kiwi, cabbage, mushrooms, mangoes, sweet potatoes, watermelon, and carrots. Notice that most of them either have a thick protective skin that prevents pesticides from penetrating the flesh, or are crops that require less chemical treatment. Here's the practical strategy that science recommends. First, the Dirty Dozen. Strawberries, spinach, grapes, peppers, nectarines, peaches. Buy organic, especially if you eat them regularly. Second, frozen organic versions of strawberries, blueberries, and spinach are significantly cheaper than fresh. And for smoothies, baking, and cooking, they work just as well. Third, the Clean 15 can be bought conventional. Savings without compromise. Fourth, everything you buy, soak in a baking soda solution, even organic. It may carry other contaminants, but there is something else important about the forever chemicals, PFAS, found on produce in 2026. This is something almost nobody is talking about, and it changes the picture once again. For the first time in the history of the Dirty Dozen report, in 2026, it includes PFAS, per, and polyfluoroalkyl substances. These are what scientists call forever chemicals, because they do not break down either in the environment or in the human body. PFAS were detected on 63% of Dirty Dozen samples. Where did they come from? On produce, from soil, contaminated by agricultural chemicals, from irrigation water, from packaging materials. What is known about PFAS and health? They have already been linked to kidney, testicular, and breast cancer, thyroid dysfunction, immune suppression, reduced response to vaccines and infections, reproductive dysfunction, and, this is new, metabolic disorders, including obesity and diabetes. But here is what is particularly important to understand. PFAS accumulate in the body. This is not a one-time exposure that clears quickly. This is a chemical that stays in your blood, tissue, and organs for years, and no amount of washing will remove it. USDA organic certification explicitly prohibits the use of PFAS pesticides. This means choosing organic for Dirty Dozen items is protection not only from conventional pesticides, but from forever chemicals as well. I want to end this conversation with the same thought I started with. This morning, you most likely ate something with pesticides. And that is alright, because completely eliminating them from life in the modern world is practically impossible. But there is an enormous difference between impossible to fully eliminate and nothing can be done. There's a great deal you can do. Know the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Soak produce in baking soda. Choose organic for the items you eat most often. This is not a revolution. These are small, concrete steps that genuinely reduce exposure. The Institute Pasteur and Nature Health study is not just a news story. It is a signal that the pesticide safety assessment system we have used for decades is outdated. Evaluating chemicals in isolation while people are exposed to their mixtures is not science. It is an illusion of safety. Science is moving in the right direction. New research is emerging. Regulatory bodies are beginning to respond, and I will be tracking it and telling you. That is precisely what this channel is here for. All sources are in the description below the video. Until next time, eat consciously.